Welcome everyone to the Malvern Retreat House. My name is Father Jim McGuinn, and I'd like to welcome you here to our more in-depth study of the first reading from Sunday's Mass. At Mass on Sunday, I encourage everybody to develop the spiritual practice of journaling. And one of the ways that we can journal is by journaling on the Sunday readings. So hopefully some of you are practicing that discipline, that spiritual discipline, this week. So, a reading from the first book of the prophet Isaiah. Rise up in splendor, Jerusalem, your light has come. The glory of the Lord shines upon you. See, darkness covers the earth, and thick clouds cover the people. But upon you the Lord shines, and over you appears his glory. Nations shall walk by your light, and kings by your shining radiance. Raise your eyes and look about. They all gather, come to you. Your sons come from afar, and your daughters in the arms of their nurses. Then you shall be radiant in what you see. Your heart shall throb and overflow. For the riches of the sea shall be empty before you. The wealth of nations shall be brought to you. Caravans of camels shall fill you, dromedaries from Midian and Ephah. All from Sheba shall come, bearing gold and frankincense, and proclaiming the praises of the Lord. The word of the Lord, thanks be to God. Okay, so listen, we have been listening to this prophet Isaiah for almost all of Advent, and now almost all of the Christmas season. So Isaiah is really, really important. This is important to keep in mind too. There's different sections of the book of Isaiah, and these different sections were written at different times. So this is taken from a section where Isaiah is trying to lift up the spirits and comfort the Jewish people who are in exile. It's kind of like slavery in Babylon. And he's trying to say to them, listen, God is going to be bringing us home. He's going to be bringing us back to Jerusalem. And that's what's happening here. This is a really upbeat first reading. So Isaiah says, rise up in splendor, Jerusalem. Your light has come. The glory of the Lord is coming back to you. The Lord left you, and you have been abandoned, but now he's coming back. Thick clouds cover the nations, but upon you God's glory will shine when he leads his children, his sons and daughters, back to the great and glorious and marvelous capital. So that's what's happening here. There's something deeper, though. Isaiah is starting to realize that the Jewish people are not just being taken care of by God because they're God's chosen people, but there's a universality here. There's a universalism that God wants to bless all the nations of the world, not just Jerusalem and the nation of Israel, but all the nations of the world. All the nations belong to God. And God doesn't want to punish them and just bless Israel. He wants to bless them all. So this idea of universalism is something that the Jewish people wrestled with throughout history. Sometimes they felt very privileged that all the nations of the world would be blessed through them. At other times, when those nations were oppressing them, they didn't want to be a blessing to other people. They wanted God to punish them. But God has bigger plans. So, Isaiah goes on to explain what's going to happen when the nations of the world actually come to Jerusalem. This is unheard of. Like, the Jewish people are just happy to get back to Jerusalem. Isaiah is saying that's too small. God is going to lead all the nations to Jerusalem. So, this is what's going to happen. They're all going to bring their riches and lay their riches before Jerusalem. So caravans of camels and dromedaries are going to be coming from the mysterious east, and they're going to be bringing their goods. And people are going to be coming from Sheba, another mysterious city out there in the east. And those people are going to be bringing gold and frankincense to give to the Jewish people and to proclaim the praises of God. Now, when Matthew was writing his gospel, and he was writing the story about the Magi, he tapped into this part of Isaiah. It's pretty obvious. And so this is really a great story. So, what are some practical things that may apply to ourselves through this story? Well, the first is that God never gives up on the Jewish people, and that they still are his chosen people. They were the first to be chosen by God. And Paul says that we Gentiles who were not Jewish, we were grafted onto a vine, which was Israel. So we always need to have a special place in our heart for the Jewish people. And sometimes, unfortunately, we did just the opposite. And, we fueled anti-Semitism. So, you know what? John the 23rd once said, we're all Semites. Kind of a nice image. That we're all kind of Semitic. And I think we would do well if we really paid attention to Judaism and what we can learn from our Jewish brothers and sisters. Here's something. Go to a synagogue sometime, or go to a service in a synagogue. What else can we learn from this story? We also can learn that God often uses us to bless other people. God used the Jewish people to bless the nations of the world. Maybe God can use us, not maybe, God can use us to bless other people. So, I would just encourage you to read this reading throughout the day, reflect on it, but especially journal on it, and use it as kind of like a springboard to pray to God, and just journal away. Allow your journaling to express your thoughts and your feelings on this story. And if you do that, we'll begin to put the readings that we heard this past Sunday into practice. Thanks, everyone. Come back tomorrow. We're going to be looking at the Psalms.